Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Love Your Love Muscle, a bi-weekly podcast about living from the heart, heart-focused meditation, heart-focused self-regulation techniques. We should reconnect our heart to our brain, right? And the other way around. I'm Seb. I'm your host for today. I'm the founder of the Transformational Meditation Group, a group for people that want to transform their lives by using meditation and self-regulation techniques. And of course, people that want to transform the lives of others as well, which you do automatically when you do heart-focused living. Last week, I was on a podcast by Jody Albert Moss from Canada. I've had a podcast with him before, and then he was on my podcast. And now I was on his podcast. It was great fun. It's a great guy. And he interviewed me about my work, the Transformational Meditation Group, and we had special focus on living from the heart. What is it when we reconnect our heart to our brain? And I explained that in the West especially, sometimes I hear people have the same experience. When they grow up, go to school, they notice that especially for the guys amongst us, that sometimes have heard like sentences like "big boys don't cry," right? And you have to be strong. And our whole society is going in a direction, or went into a direction. It's not going in that direction so much anymore, but it's still a thing. Our whole society is very up in our head. And by saying to children, especially like, oh, big boys don't cry, suppress your feelings, right? That's what we're saying to our children, suppress your feelings. By suppressing our feelings, we actually are disconnecting our feeling part of our being, which is our heart and our gut. So everything up above the heart and below gets cut off from our logical thinking, from our brain. And what is connecting our heart to our brain? Well, that's our nervous system, especially the vagus nerve. So, in a sense, by living in our heads, being there, focusing on everything that we, in logic and analysis, and leaving our feelings behind, we're actually we're cutting our vagus nerve, especially, which is one of the 12 major cranial nerves coming from the brain, straight to connecting us straight to our organs. We actually cut that off. So it's not only the heart we cut from the brain, but also our other organs. And it isn't strange that when that happens, then we're only living in the head, that we lose contact with our body and especially our feelings and emotions. And things get dysregulated. In countries where I'm living, for example, in Norway, there's an increase of people having psychological problems. Mental health is a big issue in countries where apparently it's very nice to live. People seem to be happy, but it's only based on the amount of money that is going around and how the government deals with money and divides money amongst the people. But mental health is still a problem. If you really look at how a country is doing and on the happiness index, we shouldn't look at what the FN or the UN has as a happiness index. We should look at other organizations that have a happiness index based on really feeling, not on the money that is being spent, but on how they feel. And there we see that countries where people are the happiest are the countries that don't have much money, but where there is a connection between people still. A connection between communities, people in certain communities. And they don't need much money, but as long as they have each other and help each other, people are happy. People survive, people are dealing collaboratively with their issues and with everyday life, which makes people more happy. When you go to the richer countries, like what the UN says are the happiest countries in the world, we see an increase of loneliness and mental health problems. Because people aren't connected to each other anymore. They are more on themselves. It's the government that's relying, or they rely on the government funding and not on each other so much anymore. So the connection between people gets lost, and the same is happening inside of us. In these countries where we have big problems with mental health, it's not only because we're not talking to each other anymore or keeping our distance or can't be bothered with other people. It is because we also miss the connection between our brain and the rest of our body, our feelings, our brain and our feelings, our logical thinking and our feelings. They are not connected anymore. Once you focus on your heart, it means you automatically are using your brain and focus on your heart. You listen to your heart. What am I feeling? You listen to your gut, your heart, everything above the heart and below. You start to listen to, you start to focus on. What does this mean to me? How do I feel about this? Is this a good situation to be in? And you also learn to solve issues that way. You become more resilient, which means you can cope better with not having the connection with other people maybe, or you can cope better in social situations because you let your feelings speak. You become whole again by reconnecting your heart to your brain. So that's what we were talking about in that podcast with Joby Albert Maas. I will put the link below. I want you to watch it. And of course also watch and listen to his other podcast as well. So please do that because he is inviting very interesting guests to every podcast. I want to focus today on reconnecting the brain to the heart, of course, and using the vagus nerve. And how can we stimulate the vagus nerve, which I said is one of the most important nerves in our system. It connects the brain to all our major organs, and information is going back and forth. And I said it many times that when we focus on our heart and do heart-focused breathing, we create so much energy in our heart and focus in our heart that we optimize the information flow through that nerve, to the vagus nerve and the nervous system as a whole. And just remember that there's 5 times more information going from the heart to the brain through that vagus nerve than the other way around. So you can imagine that when we cut that off, we're missing all of a sudden lots of information. And it doesn't feel strange then that we feel lonely, even lonely with ourselves. And that, I have to say, was one thing I noticed when I reconnected my heart to my brain, is I was very comfortable being alone. I didn't feel alone because I was interacting as a whole being with my environment, and it didn't have to be people in it. It could be animals, it could be nature, plants, whatever. So the whole community becomes larger, not only people, but everything that lives around you. Everything that happens around you, you become more connected with it. You can deal better with it as well. So a couple of weeks ago for work, I did an exercise with some people, which was stimulating the vagus nerve by breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. But when you breathe out, you hum. So we can do that together very shortly. Just try it out together with me. Just sit straight, relax your shoulders, and breathe in through your nose very deeply, just slowly and good. And then you pause a little bit, and then you breathe out through your nose, but you hum at the same time. All the way out, all the way out. Make that out breath longer than you inhale. Right? So that's the trick. So let's do that together a couple of more times. Inhale through your nose in an okay tempo, not too quick, just normal, a little bit slower maybe than usual. Then you breathe out when your lungs are filled with air, and hum at the same time, and make it a long exhale while you hum. Try to make it as long as possible. All right, there we go. Breathe in. Out through your nose. Just go on yourself and continue doing this. After your out breath, just breathe in again through your nose, out through your nose, and humming. And the humming stimulates the vagus nerve as well. So there are two things stimulating the vagus nerve in this exercise. It's the long exhale, and it's the sound of the vibrations, the sound and the vibrations of the humming. All right? So I can try to catch up with you. Inhale through your nose, out. Just do that, and you don't have to do it higher or lower. Just feel something that is comfortable for you when you hum. Feel the vibration, right? And if you're thinking like, oh, this is a lot like what people say about meditators, right? They sit in a lotus position with their hands like this, and they're like, Om, Om. It's the same. It's that sound, that vibration that works for them. All right. You can do that a couple of times. So that's how that works. And I think we'll leave it at that. A very short podcast this time. I know people are busy, and podcasts at half an hour or more, people don't listen to that anymore. We're living in a fast-paced world. We want quick results and quick tips and tricks, right? So please continue yourself if you want to do that. Thank you for joining today. I hope you enjoyed this short session. Please click on the link below in the podcast subscription or podcast description, where you go to the podcast of Jodie Albert Moss and see my interview there. It was a lot of fun. So take care, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day and evening. Be safe, and namaste.